Broadcasting from USA Swimming's headquarters at the Carolyn Dirks Building in Colorado Springs, Colorado, it's time for Kick Set. Join three-time Olympian Elizabeth Beisel and U.S. National Team Director of Performance Matt Barbini as they host members from the USA Swimming community, ranging from age group to Olympic levels of the sport.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Kick Set podcast. My name is Matt Barbini. I am the National Team Director of Performance here at USA Swimming. Joining me, as always, three-time Olympian, fresh from your TV screens on NBC during the Paris Olympics, Elizabeth Beisel. Beisel, how are you?
I think you had a few cameos too on NBC. We had a few cameras back there.
Yeah, I would always know when I wandered in front of one because my phone would just be like boop 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 boop.
Yep, like
everybody be
like
like,
on TV.
Yeah, and then it's always the people. It's like, my family's used to it at this point. They don't care anymore. But it's the kid I haven't talked to since I went to high school. It was like, "Are you at the Olympics?"
Yeah,
yes, I
what
am.
are you doing these days? Yeah, like everybody wants a little piece of you now.
Yeah.
You know what's wild to me too is why being on TV is a big deal.
I know.
I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, why do people care so much? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's like you're just watching this stuff, and there's this degree of seriousness and of importance to it when you're watching it on NBC, and then there's some guy that you used to eat pizza next to when you were a sophomore in high school. And you're like, what? That guy's a moron. What's he doing up there?
How did he get on my black box? What's going on here?
Yeah, I thought you had to be good to be on TV.
Yeah, right.
But my mom was telling me that the time that I was on the longest was just Kate Douglas walking back to the team area, and I was just clapping. And so it's I'm just the guy who stayed there oh, it looked like you were just pretty happy. It's like, okay, yep, that was
riveting footage.
She won a gold medal.
Yeah.
Crushing it with my clapping game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of Paris, our guest today was also in Paris. And I feel like we're all finally feeling like we are back, kind of all systems are normal, but Barbini, I'll let you do your thing and embarrass him and introduce him.
Yeah, I try to read the resume. I don't have as much on Chris. I should have gone back and found some embarrassing dirt from his actual swimming career. But our guest today is Chris Plumb. He was an assistant coach on our recently completed Paris trip. He's also the head coach of Carmel Swim Club and Carmel High School. I don't know if you know this, Basil, but the Carmel girls high school team has won 36 straight state championships. I was 7 years old the last time they didn't win one.
What?
You weren't born. And the boys have won 21 straight titles. So kind of an absurd run. And then, of course, Chris was also the coach of Alex and Aaron Shackle, who both made the Olympic team, as well as Drew Kibler. So Carmel has got to be one of the most successful, especially for this Olympic cycle, one of the most successful clubs that we have. So Chris, welcome. Thanks for taking a little time on a Thursday morning.
Yeah, happy to be here and talk about all those things you just mentioned. It's good to be back. It makes you appreciate America, honestly, when you leave it. So it's good to be back in American soil.
Mostly the air conditioning. I miss that.
Yeah.
Yes.
AC and ice, ice in your drinks. Wow, what a simple thing. Yeah, absolutely.
I know. It's to be able to set the air conditioning and have the temperature actually feel cool is just a luxury we don't even think about here.
I know. It's wild. It's wild.
All right. So I want to start with a specific moment at Olympic trials. So what's going through your head right before the final of the men's 400 free? It's early in the meet. There's a ton of build up and expectation. Obviously, you're going in with high hopes for Aaron and Alex, among others. But this is early on. So take us through that couple of moments just before the race starts. Because I think this is something that's relatable to a lot of coaches that are about to watch a huge performance for one of their athletes.
Yeah, well, I just got all the chills right there when you brought that up. It was a wild moment because Aaron, we felt good about him. We had no idea that he could make the team. And at the time, you have no idea what's about to happen. We honestly thought his best chance was on the relay in the 200 free. And that was kind of what we were primed and ready for. but we also knew the opportunity existed. And he told me, in the morning, oh, I didn't really push that hard. I just won my heat. But sometimes when he says that, I'm like, oh, was that true? Or, was that really happening? But, you know, it was like, I mean, you're just so like incredibly nervous. And I had experienced the same thing 3 years earlier with Jake Mitchell. So I've been through this, and it doesn't make it easier the second time you do it. So yeah, it was just your pulse, you're heightened, you're ready to go, and there's not a whole lot you can do. It's like you throw whatever out, you have no idea what could happen. You're just like, all right, let's get this on. So
where did you watch it from? Because there was that coach. Did you watch from the coach deck above the athlete seating?
yeah, I watched. It's cool. Like the good thing is, when you walk up there, like all the other coaches kind of know, oh, you got someone there, we'll show respect, and you can get first seat, like first row, and watch from the deck. And two coaches next to me, Chris Foff and Kyle Johnson, they were right next to us, so we all watched that together, and we just went. I mean, when there was like 75 to go, we like, oh, he's got this. Like no one was going to pass him. So we just started jumping up and down and going crazy. And then, we did it. I mean, we just erupted. Not nearly as excited as he got. I'm never like, he's a very, very like pretty low passion guy until he wins or, do something unexpected. And he's splashing the water, throwing his arms up in the stand. So we were pretty much doing the same thing above him watching that. So.
Yeah, that moment was so cool. You mentioned like being nervous and heart rate is high. How do you as a coach manage those emotions while dealing with swimmers that are also feeling the same and they probably can't, and you don't want them to see you like that. So how do you process that as a coach and like manage everybody else?
Well, I'll just tell a funny story. I mean, it's funny now, but like, so Jake Mitchell 3 years ago had to do this time trial to make the Olympic team. And it was a great moment that happened. But leading up into that, he was supposed to swim at 8:45. Or actually he's supposed to swim at 9 o'clock, and at 8:45, everything's done. So you're probably out there talking to everyone. And I'm like, well, what time does this go off? I'm like freaking out. Does he need to be ready? Like there was no answers for this. There's no recipe for this. So like Jake would do a 50, and I was yelling at the other people, what's going on? I don't know. He gets to the wall. Hey, good. 28.7. Nice job. You look good. Like just going and acting it out, like just stoic face. Everything's perfect. And then he was swimming. Wow. So it's like in front of the athletes, you're calm. You got this. I believe in you. But below that, like around other people or whatever, you're definitely in a state of elation and excitement and just trying to keep your nerves calm.
So you're in a unique circumstance going into this Olympic trials. You're carrying a family with you. It's like you have both of the Shackles have a chance to make the team.
Yep.
What were your expectations of that? And then what's it like to sort of try to manage two people from the same family? Because there was a possibility that one could have made it and the other didn't. And like there are a lot of scenarios where that could have been both very joyful for you, but also very challenging. Were you thinking about that beforehand, or were you just kind of, man, I hope this works out?
Yeah, honestly, I was just taking it one step, one person at a time. But those two, if you can get them in the right place, they feed off each other. I remember doing a set. We're at the Olympic Training Center at altitude. We suited up, and Aaron did a 150 from the block, and he went 118. I was like, oh man, he's ready to make the team. And Alex saw it, and Alex goes, well, I want to do something impressive too. And so just like those two just feed off each other, and they try to one up each other. And they both have like this unbelievable confidence in themselves. So, I mean, Aaron was a little bit different story because we didn't really know. I mean, Aaron had never swum an A international meet. Like the year before, he was in Ireland. He's just, he won junior nationals. That was his pride the year before. So he was this wild card who kind of came home from college and said, hey, I want to swim at Carmel to make the Olympic team. Where Alex, she made the team the year before, it was kind of expected and ready to happen. And we needed her to take the next step in more than just one event. So different paths, but same goal. And I thought they both could do it, but you really don't know until that moment happens.
What is their relationship like as siblings, as training partners, as teammates? Because I'm sure that there's like some sort of rivalry, but then also just like pure joy for the other one. So I would love to know what that dynamic is like and how you manage that.
Yeah, I would say it's a typical brother-sister relationship. You know that they definitely deeply love each other, but they're just bickering all the time. So, um, like when we were at the Olympic camp, right? Those two, I was in charge of coaching them, and Drew and Matt King, and uh, so a lot of time, they would be doing their own set together, and like after 2 days of just watching them go in the same lane, and Alex and they would just argue and fight. I'd be like, okay, I need to send you guys away. We need to find a different group to train with. There's only so much you two can handle each other, but they definitely push each other. I know, like Alex was this kind of younger superstar, so she's always been good. But Aaron is kind of this late bloomer, and he came onto his own late. But they both, they both have a love for the Olympics and their country and each other, and so I would say it's very typical, but atypical in the sense they're both elite athletes.
So if we fast forward to Paris, it's pretty rare for someone to be in a position to be at the Olympics with three athletes that they coached through high school. So that's a lot of college teams can put themselves in that position, but for a club coach, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to watch three people that you essentially developed at the biggest stage in the sport?
Yeah, obviously it's a source of pride, and I was tired. I'm tired of answering this question. When is Carmel going to get Olympian? Like, I'm so tired of that question. I've been coaching at Carmel since 2006. In 2008, first of all, in 2004, the state of Indiana had 0 Olympic trial qualifiers 18 and under. So like our LSC had work to do. And in 2008, we had 2. One of them is Elizabeth's friend, Trish Regan, made it in a time trial. Yep. And, and then we kind of built the program from there. And then, so the point being, it took a while for us to have even athletes at this level, and then to actually put 3 on the team at the same time is just a dream come true. So it took patience to get there. So it was such a reward because I knew how long it took me and took our club and our program to put athletes at this level. So I had a true appreciation for what was happening, and I didn't want to take a moment for granted when I was there. And to know that you helped them, and they helped me too. Like the best athletes in the world and the best athletes we have helped me be a better coach. Like I had to be one step ahead of Drew when he was in high school, because he's watching videos. He's like Caleb Dressel was doing this, and this is how Ian Thorpe swims, and like he would every day come in with something, and I'm like, I got to know my stuff because this kid's like wanting to be there. And but to have all of them at the same time, and it was a great group. They all, like Aaron and Drew, trained together the year before, so it's good to watch them work together at the end. So just a moment of pride for Carmel and the state of Indiana. It was awesome.
I think that point is such a testament to you as a coach, because me as a swimmer, I have known Carmel Swim Club and just like Carmel High School swimming as like the greatest thing in America in terms of swimming, but it wasn't always like that. And I think for you to kind of have the patience to be able to coach it to what it is now, I would love to know, like, how did you get it to be one of the most consistent top swimming programs in the country? Like, what were the little things that you did from the time you took over in 2006, I think you said,
Yeah.
to now in 2024 having 3 Olympians on the US
Yeah.
team?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question, and probably not going to do like a full justice to this, but I think number one is you kind of take what we had at the time. I mean, Carmel was always a good high school team. Um, and like their girls were winning state championships, obviously winning so many in a row. So good swimmers were coming out of here, but they were not getting to that elite level. Like Olympic trial qualifiers was not happening on a regular basis. So what I said was like, how do I enhance this high school team and let it be the springboard for us getting better? Because I could never remove what makes Carmel good, and that was the high school team. It's the pool, it's the community, they love it. So I said, Well, I told the girls this in 2006 and 7, you know, maybe even 8 after. I was like, "Who are the best high school swimmers in Indiana?" And it was like Michelle McKeon and Jenny Connolly. We're in high school going away, and they both were in the finals at the Olympic trials. I said, if we can get to there, this high school thing gets way easier. So kind of this buy-in that, hey, if we can do this here, we can get to that next level. That was step one. And then step two is going through the hurdles of how to create a culture where that was happening on a regular basis. And to me, you know, I learned a lot from Bob Bowman and John Urbanchik. I visited them. I visited Tony Bates out in California. I mean, I was just going anywhere and everywhere that I could to get on people's pool decks and watch and learn, and just trying to gain as much knowledge as I could and absorb that to get to that place. And I think the other pivotal moment for us was coming up with our dry land series that we have, and we called the Gain Swim, or, you know, we brought Vern Gambetta in, and he transformed our dry land. So I think we were ahead of our time in terms of like how important that part of your program is to get there. And then we had some near misses. I mean, in 2016, Claire Adams broke her hand 10 days before the meet. I mean, she was like the second or third seed hunter back. Amy Bilquist got third in 2016. So, like, I think you got to go through that process of getting people close but missing, and then like that just drives your hunger even more.
You mentioned the community of Carmel. It seems like the city takes a lot of pride in the performance of the team, and has taken a lot of pride in what you guys were able to accomplish at Olympic trials and in Paris. It seemed like there was some street names changed, and there was a parade send. Yeah. How was that developed? Like, did that come about organically? Was that already in place when you got there, or has that been a response to the success that you've had? Like, how did that community buy into swimming come to be?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the great things about living in the Midwest that I didn't have an appreciation for. I mean, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, so it's just different here, and the pride that people have in their communities is nothing like I've ever seen. Like, I mean, everyone has homecoming and all that, but here it's just like another level with your high schools. So, there's a community pride that already existed. They take pride in their athletics here. Like, if you win a state championship individually or high school, your picture is up on the wall in the basketball stadium. So I think that, like, there's a notoriety that comes with it. And then, you know, I just knew it was special when the girls broke the national record streak for 30, like, I think they got to 30 state championships in a row, and that broke the record. And the next day, the city threw a parade down Main Street. I was like, what is happening? This is crazy. So it was there. And then I think they've just kind of fed off of that. And when the Olympic trials came to Indy, this Carmel was all about it a year in advance. And then, you know, one day I came in, and they're like, they changed our name to Swim City. Like, that was a real thing. They've changed all the signs coming into Carmel. And then when we had people make the Olympics, like you can see behind me, that's my name up there. And then
Chris
Alex
Plumb
Drew
Boulevard.
and Chris Plumb Boulevard. Yeah. And you were saying how people were like buzzing you, you know, when you're at the Olympics. Well, I have everyone taking a picture of themselves with, you know, my street name instead of me a picture on it. So, you know, I was like, I'm not a big fan of that myself. I was like, oh God, here we go. But I mean, it's just cool that your city did that. And then even the local brewery, they came up with a beer called Lap City Lager. And they put a swimmer on there, and I got 8 pint glasses with Lap City Lager on there. So, like, it wasn't just the city, it was like the community. The Sun King Brewery bought into it. So it is great to be a part of a community that buys into all the sports here. And I think it's very unique. And so I think it's just like the two have worked together to get to this place.
I couldn't ever imagine like being a part of a community like in the US that loved swimming that much. Like that's incredible. Like, what has it been like for you getting back from the Olympics? Like, are you a local celebrity? Like, is Chris Plumb walking down Chris Plumb Boulevard and people are like, it's Chris Plumb.
Somebody get that guy a Lap City Lager.
Yeah, get him a Lap City Lager. Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, how has been like the recalibration of being back, and having so much success personally as a coach and also having to look forward to like, oh, another season. Like we're kind of just like back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. Like, last night I went to dinner and this, um, this like table kept looking over at me. I'm like, what's happening here? And then they got up and they said, "Oh, congratulations, coach. We're so proud of you." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, I get it." Like, you don't really equate it all the time, that you're just trying to go on about your day. So that part's, really cool. And like, certainly like a celebrity at the school, like I won Greyhound, which is our mascot, coach of the year. And I got the award in front of before the football game started. And to get a standing ovation from the football fans, and like, it's just like, okay, it's just crazy that it's happening for swimming, because I never thought it would.
Yeah.
Right. And as swimmers and as coaches, I mean, we all know it's like, all right, we're not there. At the same time, I did go to dinner last week, and Caitlin Clark and her boyfriend walked into dinner, and then Tyrese Halliburton and his girlfriend walked in, and I was like, okay, I'm a celebrity, but I'm not as celebrity as those two are. It's like,
yeah, no.
Yeah, keep your ego in check right here. These
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
everyone knew who they were when they walked in, so maybe not quite to their status yet.
Well, you picked the right place if that's where the local heroes are
Right?
going. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
exactly. Only
Yeah,
legends enter here.
Yeah. The VIP room over
Yeah.
there.
Right, yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
if I was famous, I was like, should I go introduce myself? But then I'm like, yeah, it's just, I just wanted to let them to be kind of like, I don't want
Yeah.
people bothering me either. So it's just
Yeah.
like, so let them
Right.
be,
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. All right. So going back to Paris just for a second, we talk a lot, everybody watches on TV, everybody can sort of see what happens. What were some of your favorite moments that people that watched on the broadcast would not have seen?
Oh, would not have seen.
Or even, I mean, it could be what they've seen too, but what were some of your favorite moments of our time in Paris?
Yeah. I mean, I think to me, I love being able to get on the bus and talk to another coach or even other athletes from other countries, and just, first of all, I love the Australian accent. I mean, like, I could hear them talk all day long. It's just like, I'm so fascinated with it. But I think just getting to know our own athletes as people. I remember just one of my favorite moments was going over with Paige Madness. She was getting ready, and she just, kind of telling me where she's been, her ups and downs, and hearing her story, because I was like helping her through camp and got to know her a little bit better, and her ups and downs, and like getting to know athletes on a personal level is special in school, because everyone has a unique story, and I love hearing those. And I think just hanging out in the back with the coaches, hearing their stories. We would, as we know, the food in the village wasn't the best, so a lot of times we would go grab a cheeseburger outside the village, and those times to me were the special moments that people always don't see. But to me, my favorite swim though was watching Bobby, and I was sitting right next to Anthony during that swim, and he was so emotionally moved he couldn't even like look up. It was cool to be next to him, and then you could really feel how much it meant to him and the pride that he took in that moment. And so like that was a super cool moment for me as well.
Yeah, I don't think I have ever seen Nesty that emotional, like after a
Yeah.
race. And like we've all known Nesty for like
Yeah.
our entire lives. So that was like, I agree, so special. For me, like as an athlete, like one of my favorite things was just being on deck and getting to know everybody from different countries. For you, was there a coach or staff that you connected really well with on the deck? And then secondly, was there anything that you learned, like maybe from an Australian coach that you would love to share? Because I feel like a lot of people listen to this that are aspiring coaches or are just starting to coach, and would be kind of cool to hear like what Dean Boxall does or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What Dean Boxall does is walks around and talks to everybody.
Yeah.
Is that what he does?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's the friendliest.
He's
dude.
great.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you know, I got to talk to Tim Lane on the bus, and just hearing how he just thinks differently about his ideas, and like, how infrequently his swimmer did a turn because he does the 50 free.
For those that don't know, Tim Lane is Cam McAvoy's coach. He
Cam
won the 50 free
McAvoy's,
gold medal.
yeah. Right. So like, it's just it's just such a different thought process than mine, and to hear someone talk about it was great. And then I think we need to take home how meticulous the Japanese are at their warm up and getting ready on the pool deck. I mean, I'm just fascinated by how exacting they were, just like holding a plank or getting to the right position. And here, like, they were doing handstands in warm up, and just they were so exacting in everything they were doing and meticulous. It was like, there's something I've got to take from watching them warm up, because we can do that better. And then I remember watching the Australians warm up at one of the pools off site. And they were just a loose group, and they took a good 20-25 minutes before they got in, and they were just having a good time. And I'm like, I think there's something to be said about being in a team atmosphere and comfortable with each other, because we know the chaos and the pressure that's coming, and how I could take that back to Carmel, and just this idea of like, you know what, we know it's going to be tough. Let's enjoy each other. Let's take our time. Let's not be in such a hurry to get one place to the next. So
it's interesting that you mentioned the Japanese. Our staff that came back from Junior Pan Packs had nothing. I don't know if you've heard this from yours as well, but said that they were extremely impressive there, both in their diligence and what you were talking about, but then they were also awesome in the pool, second in the medal table, their best performance there for a while. So they're definitely doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been on those Junior Pan Pac trips too, and I thought the same thing. They're just so good on their technique, and like, I just say, hey, you can be that good too, and we've got to try to figure that out. I think that is one thing I definitely took home with me. So
yeah. Chris, how did you get into coaching? What made you want to do this?
It's a great question. I often ask myself that. Why did I do this?
You're like, I don't know.
Day 35 of this trip, you were like, why did I do this?
Why did I do this?
Why did I subjugate myself to this? Especially when you get, an upset parent. You're like, why did I sign up for this? Honestly, I think it was the meeting of passions. I loved swimming. It was something I did since I was little. I remember, my dad used to throw the keys to the bottom of the pool when I was like 3 and 4, and I used to dive in and go get them. I remember that specifically, those moments, and it's something I did. So that was what I was passionate about, and I was passionate about helping people. And I thought somehow coaching just ended up being this perfect blend of those two things. I get to help people, and I do a sport that I love. And somewhere along the way, I'm like, you can actually make a living, although you got to work your tail off to do that. And you probably do that in anything, but in swimming, it just takes a long time to get here, and you got to situate yourself in the right place. But the meeting of something that I love to do, and I love sports, so all those three things just brought itself and got me to this place. So I'm still glad that I do it. I love what I do. I love coming on the pool deck. I don't always love 5:30 in the morning. I can say that, but it is great, and it is every day is different, right? And I think it's what keeps you here. Working with young people and helping them, and just getting their passion and excitement keeps it young and keeps it interesting. So it's never a dull day on the job, that's for sure.
Now you have streets named after you.
Now streets. Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, a long way.
That may not have been on the goals list when you got into swim coaching.
Right. Chris is like, all right,
Chris
coach an
Plumb
Olympian. Street named after me.
Get a street after me. Yep. Check. Box, check.
Have dinner with Caitlin Clark and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
Check.
All those things. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. All right, Basil, should we do the some social kick?
Let's do it. All
right, so these are questions that are submitted by social followers of USA Swimming. Kind of a range of topics here. It's like quasi rapid fire, but if you have something you want to expound on, you can.
Alex Shackle told me she submitted a question, so
she is on the list. So that is
great.
that is the last one. We will get through the
Oh,
others
okay. Well,
first.
all right,
Yeah,
all right,
okay.
good.
Okay, so this is from N. Smith. Did you get into the pin trading game in Paris? I know the answer to this.
Yeah, I was late to the game, but once
Yeah.
I did, I was definitely into it. Our media people helped me with some extra pins, so I had a little more to play with than some other people. So definitely got into it. It was cool because like the Netherlands was like a wooden pin, so like everything was a little bit different. Although I didn't get a Snoop Dogg or Kayla Decky, so maybe I wasn't quite on it as much as I should be.
What was the best one you got?
I would say that Netherlands one was the coolest one. It was just so different than all the others. So
No, the
Yep.
Snoop Dogg pin was like the hottest
Yeah.
attraction there. Did you get one, Basil?
I did not. I was so
Oh.
upset, but
Yeah.
it was
You
very
work at
on.
NBC. I would think
I was
you could
gonna
get
say,
one.
man.
I got to meet him, but I honestly, that only lasted 5 seconds. The pin would last a lifetime. I'm trying to, I need the pin.
Yeah.
It was very
All
on
right.
brand for Snoop Dogg too. So everybody should go home and Google.
Yeah.
was
We're
like.
not going to discuss what it was, but it's
Yeah.
what you'd expect.
It's what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. What? This is from Stephanie K. What is the hardest part about being a coach?
Oh, the hardest part about being a coach is trying to figure out who you're dealing with on a day, because you don't know the emotions the athletes go through, and when you're dealing with teenagers that are going through high school and all the things that come along with that, that's the hardest part. Is you're not really sure who's going to show up on your pool deck on that day, and you got to be ready for anything. So I think that's the hardest part about being a coach. And I'd put number 2 would probably be really upset parents. So those two things together definitely make it a challenge.
Yeah, if they happen on the same day.
No, yeah, then you're in real trouble.
Yeah. Okay, this is more of a coaching question. It's from Madeline B. What techniques should coaches be focusing on with swimmers ages 7 to 10? So I guess a way to look at that is like, what do you want to see from athletes when they get to like your high school program or your club program?
Yeah, I mean, in that younger age group, a couple things that come to mind. Number 1, you want to be teaching body position. That to me is critical. We do a lot of stuff where we float and then add the legs and add the arms. We're just trying to teach how to move yourself through the water, locomotion. Simple, but that body awareness and body float, I think is just so important for younger people to understand. I would say number 2, developing an outstanding kick. I think kick sets you up for the rest of your life. The best swimmers in the world today are all kicking almost their entire race in freestyle, and developing those legs and that dolphin kick and all those things, just super important. And 3, that 7 to 10, make sure they're having fun so they come back the next day. I mean, you want to make sure when they go home, they cannot wait to come back the next day. And that is your job as a coach to make sure these athletes keep coming back to the pool.
All right, we've reached the shackle question.
Okay.
This is right on brand. Describe Alex Shackle in 3 words.
That's amazing.
Oh, that is on brand. Alex Shackle in 3 words. Oh my gosh.
Just remember that this is a PG rated podcast.
No. Yeah. No, I would. No, I think Alex, number 1, how do you describe him? Well, I know she's going to listen to this, so I better say something nice.
Yeah, you better skew towards the positive.
When we stop recording, you can tell us your real answer.
You can say the real answer, yeah.
Or
you're going to have one of those bad days you mentioned.
Yeah.
Whichever one shows up.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, Alex is an absolute joy to coach, and every day is awesome with her, and I mean that in the most sincere. But no, I would say feisty. She's a feisty coach or feisty athlete. Energetic. I mean, she brings a lot of energy each and every day. And what's the third word I would use? I mean, I think she's just incredibly competitive too. So I think those would be the 3 words I would use to describe her here. So
sounds like it's not
Awesome.
a mistake that she's as good as she is.
Yeah.
No,
Sound like they would relate to performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here's the story about Alex. When she was 14, she made the Olympic trial cut like 3 weeks before the Olympic trials. And she shows up to wave one. So it's wave one and wave two. And she tells our coach, Rhiannon Sheets, she goes, I wish I was at wave two. Like,
Wow.
just gets her cut. And she's like, I want to be at wave two. And like, who at 14 walks in and is like disappointed with it? But that was her mentality. So
Yeah.
she's got that drive, and it's not an accident.
Yeah.
Always raising the bar. I love that.
Yeah.
So good to see. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you for taking the time. Good luck with the upcoming season. Thanks for everything this last summer, and thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thank you, Matt and Elizabeth. I appreciate you guys, and I'm sure I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yep.
All right. Thanks again to Chris Plumb for coming on. Always good to talk to somebody that's kind of like right in the midst of it. I like that we got him just a couple weeks after the end of Paris, where it's all still fresh and he still got his street name behind him, which is the coolest thing. I think everybody's got to go and tell their CVB to get them a street side if you put somebody on the Olympic team.
Right?
Man.
Like, come on. We can't be sleeping on these opportunities.
No, man.
And like so deserved. And it was really cool to hear like how he took the team. I mean, already from a successful team, but now to iconic, like everybody looks up to him. You know, I was picturing like him as a young coach going to all these pool decks and learning from all these coaches. And now it's probably full circle because people are visiting him, trying to learn from him.
Yep.
So it's so well deserved. And I mean, Barbini, you got to like hang out with him all summer. How was that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's great. I think the thing that he said that I'll come back to the summer, but the thing that he said that I thought was most interesting is like, they were getting crap about when's Carmel going to get an Olympian. It's like, do you have any idea how difficult it is to put a high school kid on the Olympic team?
Oh yeah,
especially a high school boy. Like it happened twice this year, but it does not happen. And it is impossible to have it happen. And so like the idea that, but there's also a positive element to that because the city and the community cares enough about swimming that they are monitoring whether or not it's happening. But that's a challenge when expectations get to that point where you're expected to do something that clubs just don't do. Like there's a handful of clubs every 4 years that do it, but it's very rare. So that to then take that pressure and then deliver on it is crazy.
With two guys.
Exactly.
Unreal.
Yeah. And to have 3 athletes from the same high school, I mean, that we have 300,000 athletes and our athletes are spread out over hundreds of clubs, thousands of clubs across the country. So to have 3 come from the same high school is just, it's not a common occurrence at all. It is something that they should be ridiculously proud of. Like, it's not like, it's not like, oh, finally we got an Olympia. It's like, this is an unheard of accomplishment that nobody does.
Like the state of Rhode Island, I think had like 2 Olympians.
Yeah.
The state. And like Carmel High School had 3. So it's just like, I really hope they don't take that for granted. And it's just like a testament to Chris and what he's developed over there. And so if you're an aspiring coach, there's your role model right there.
Well, and going back to your question about what it was like to have him on staff, like it's also a hard spot to be in as a club coach. Like you coach a very different demographic of athletes. You coach much younger people. You deal with a lot more, some of your outside the pool stuff is very different than what university coaches deal with. And he does a great job of blending in with all of them. He just is he's a very adaptable personality and he just seems to get along with that group. But he's also not one of those that comes in and is like trying to like do what everybody else does. It's like, he knows what works. He knows what got their athletes to that point. And he's stuck with it. So I think it's a good balance of like being a part of the team, being a part of the coaching staff as understanding that the position you're in is not exactly the same as theirs, while also being like, I'm really good at what I do and I'm going to stick with what got us here. So he's great.
I love that quiet confidence in a coach. He's like, I got this. Even though my kids are younger, doesn't matter.
Yep. Exactly. Basil, we would normally have something to plug at this point, but the season's over. So we're gonna,
for the first time ever, we're like,
I know, man.
Okay, bye.
So we're gonna just wish everybody good luck on the start of this new season. We, at least at USA Swimming, we look at September 1 as kind of the season flips over to the next year. So We're recording this just before that. So we'll be turning the page to the 2024-2025 season. So good luck everybody out there if you're getting back in the pool. And obviously we have events coming up in the next few months. So anybody that's looking for what's coming, if you're having swim withdrawals, we've got our full event calendar on usaswimming.org/events. But other than that, enjoy a little time, maybe watching football or baseball. instead of instead of swimming, and we will catch up with everybody again next month. Faisal, thank you as always. You're the best.
So are you, Barbini. Always a great time.